Okay, I think we are about ready to start. The delay's kicked over and we should be streaming live now. I'm just going to make sure that I've actually got the live thing muted. Let me just do that in case it starts playing back. No, we are all good. Okay, cool. Thanks for tuning into the stream or clicking on the link for the post upload to YouTube. In this video here, I want to actually get started on doing a bit of a tutorial on how to make an isometric, how to turn the UMMORPG 2D into an isometric view from the top-down view. Did a little bit of experimentation in my spare time over the past couple of weeks. I managed to actually get it looking pretty cool, and there was a few tips and tricks. And I know some people are looking to do an isometric or like that kind of style from the old Ultima series, Ultima Online, should I say? So I thought, yeah, I'd put up the just a free tutorial on how to make it look that way, and then you can expand on it from there. There's a few different bits and pieces that we need to put together. There's only one sort of core script edit that we need to do to get the controls to work the way we want them to. The rest of the stuff's basically just sort of fiddling around with Unity 2D and how it works. There's a couple of things we're going to do. I'm actually going to be using the SuperTile to Unity to bring in a tiled map, because I like the tile editor better than I like the 2D tile map editor in Unity at the moment. You can use the Unity one. It's pretty much the same thing, but if you know how to use tiled, you can actually get some pretty nice maps out of that, and then convert them directly into the Unity map editor, which is great. Anyway, let's go through how we're going to set it up. So my previous project that I've done it in was an older version of UMMORPG 2D, but I'm going with the latest one now and bringing that in so that if there's any issues that we come across setting it up, I don't think there is. The core edit we're going to make, I don't think has been updated in a while, so it should be fine. But if we do see anything, then we'll obviously hit that speed bump when we get to it. All right, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do, I'm not actually going to bring UMMORPG in just yet. I'm going to leave that last, because I know that there is a conflicting script with one of the assets that we're going to bring in. So the first one that I'm going to bring in is actually from the Unity technologies page. So this is actually a GitHub page. If you just have a look here. This is the 2D extras, so it comes with a bunch of different things. It's got for use with Unity 2018.3 F2 onwards. You can search for this on Google, just GitHub Unity 2D extras, and it should pull up this particular page. If you're using an earlier version of Unity, there's actually some other branch versions of it or something, but if you're using 2018.3 up, this will be the one that you want to use. Speaking of which, I'm using 3.9 F1, which was the latest as of a couple of weeks ago. I think 2019's come out now, but we're just happy with using this for now. So you can come down here, just download it as a zip. So clone or download the zip, open it up, and you'll see this. Oh, you won't see that because it's off my screen. One sec. There we go. All right, so you'll end up with this. Just open that folder up, and you'll see it's an assets with all the other stuff there from the Git. Just going to take all of that, and we're going to extract that to our folder. So you can just obviously jump back into Unity. You can right-click here and show in Explorer. I've already done that, so I'm just going to bring that up. Here's my assets. No, that's the wrong assets. Never mind. This is the one I want. Oh, God, I hate dragging the windows across my screens because it never works properly. All right, so this here is the MMORPG tutorial files. This is my project folder with the top level there, so you can see all the other folders that we're not actually going to touch. What we want to do is, because this is already the top assets folder there, going to click that across into here, just drag it, let it go through, and it's already brought that in. Then of course we're going to come back into Unity, let it sit there and import everything, compile. Go to our console, make sure we've got no errors. Yep, that's fine. Now there is a conflicting script in here. So you can see it's got made the folder here with tile map and everything in it. I believe it is in maybe scripts, no, tiles, animated tile. Whoops, that's not the one I meant to click on. Yes, I think this one here ends up coming up with an error because UMMORPG already has an animated tile script, so we can actually delete this because I'm not going to be using animated tiles at all, but I'll wait till it comes in to make sure that it is that particular script there that has the conflict. Next thing I want to do, let's actually bring in the other tool that we're going to use, and that's SuperTile map tiled to Unity, SuperTile to Unity. That's the one we're using. So this is here just lets you import the tiled maps from tiled across. Now you want the latest one, unless you're using 2018.2, then you want the previous one. For now, 2018.3, you can just use that one, download that package, and then open it up. And so now it's preparing package, so we'll just bring that across once it opens up. So I'm not going to use the examples, I don't need them. We can leave the icons, leave the scripts, and then the settings will also leave there. Just going to import that. I'm leaving UMMORPG 2D last because it's actually a project one that will set all of the little project settings and stuff like that in it. I brought these in afterwards and didn't have any problems last time I did it, other than that one conflicting animation section there. But that doesn't matter. Alright, so now we can import the main structure. Yeah, ooh, it's going to overwrite your project. Yeah, no worries. So just going to let that go through. And I think what I'll do, or anyone else in the comments can do when you're watching the YouTube videos, this one's going to take me a few hours, so if you wanted to actually highlight the timestamps for when different bits get done, yeah, I'll try and get on that when I get some time. I don't really want to watch a few hours of me blabbering on, but neither do you, so that's the whole point of the timestamps. Anyway, so you can see we're just going to bring everything in. We don't need to take anything out or anything like that, so let's just go import. Nearly there. No, wants to do it all over again. Cool. At some point too, I might switch to an intermission page and take a little break, and I want to talk about some of the MMO stuff, or the stuff that's been going on in the MMO chat channel. We were talking about it the other day about different MMOs and some of the player systems that have been brought in, or systems that were brought in that players have exploited, or not so much exploited, but just used it in a way that the developers weren't expecting. And I come up to a few things of EVE Online, and one of the big ones I had was the Ultima Online's virtual ecology system, which was an absolutely fantastic system in theory, but when it come through, was completely obliterated by the players, and ended up being scrapped, and then that led to the way MMOs are set today. But I'll talk about that one a little bit later. Alright, anyway, so as you can see here, we've got a whole bunch of these areas here about animated tile coming through. That's talking about the script that's actually in UMMORPG. I don't want to delete that one just in case it actually breaks something else in the scripts, but I did delete the one that was in the tile map folder and didn't seem to have any issues with it. So we're going to go here. We're actually just going to delete that whole folder. Delete, and we come here, let it recompile. There's recompiling there in the bottom. Alright, cool, and then it just gives us our regular ones there. Scene ID, yep, all that sort of stuff. No worries, we don't have to worry about. Oh, actually, I wanted to keep that up. Doesn't matter because we're going to open up the entity script anyway. So let's just go to our scene. We'll open up the UMMORPG scene. Keep calling it by like the longhand name. Just can I call it just? No, I can't really. There's no shorter way of saying it. UMMO 2D, I guess, but then that's another asset. Doesn't matter. So you can see here we've got our scene with the standard demo scene where you can move around. It's got a nav map, which you can't see that. You have to use navigation 2D. So let's open that up and bring it down to here. And you can see there's all the areas we can walk in. I mean, there's no reason to have any of that up there other than that's just the way it works. We'll go over the way the collision works on the tiled map as well, because it's very interesting the way that it does it, and it caught me out on a few simple things. But I'll make sure that I highlight that so anyone else that gets stuck on it will know. Come back to our inspector. So this is the usual one. Now, if you've played the demo before, and I'm expecting that you have, because this isn't aimed for, like, you know, people that are just starting out. This is aimed for people that have at least fiddled with the pack a little bit and have some experience. When you move around, you can only move in 4 directions, and your animator for your player character handles those 4 directions and changes the sprite animation for each one of them. The problem is that you can still move diagonally, but it just picks the nearest angle that you're going to, so up, you know, and if you're going close to up, but anything beyond that, you'll be going right, that sort of thing. and that's actually scripted in the entity script. And that was what I had a lot of trouble with, trying to figure out how to get the animator to read that. And then, of course, I found that little point and had to modify it a little to take out certain parts that weren't necessary and to turn it back into more than 4 directional movement. So really this modification, I've got it set up so it does 8 directional movement, but you can actually have anything from 12 to 16 directional points, depending on how you set up your animator, and you just have to take out this one part of the script or replace it effectively. So what we'll do is we'll actually do that now before we start jumping into editing the map on tiled. So what I'm going to do, I'll have to find the entity script first because that's from my other. I've actually got my other project that already works set up on another screen so that I can just refer to it and make sure that I don't miss anything, or so that I can actually just cut and paste the some of the stuff that I need. So we're going to open up our entity script, double click that, and it'll open up Visual Studio. If that's what you've got installed, I recommend that you do use that. You can probably use Mono Develop. I don't know whether they still allow that or not. Who knows? Alright, so I'm going to drag that across here. So here's our entity script. Entities use a deterministic finite state machine data or whatever. What we want to do is we want to find where update look direction on server and client. So I'm actually just going to Control F and go update. Oops. There we go. Cool. So let's just have a look here. So this is a section that is locking us into that 4 directional movement. I don't know why the reason for that is. I think it was either to do with trying to stop hackers from wrecking the system, or if it was just because he wanted 4 directional movement and needed to add this in to make sure that it didn't screw up the system for the 4 directional movement. Now, if we just go ahead and delete it, it's not going to work properly because it'll come up with some errors when it's trying to do some stuff. There's some other sections that call for it or something, or basically it won't move in the direction you want it to. So we still need this section here. We just need to change it. So if we have a look, always orthonormal, like 0 and 1 and never 0.5. So the blend tree doesn't actually blend between sprite animations. So it's when you look at the sprite animator, which I'll do just so we can explain what's going on. Controller, whoops. We need the player one warrior controller, that'll do. Whoops. So we've got our idle blend tree, we can open that up. Whoops. And you see here we've got this for here. So when we're here, our value is actually what, 0.5, 0.5. Now, what that bit of code is saying, or what this code is saying, is that it will never be 0.5. It will always be either 1 or 0, 1 or 1, 0, whatever you want to call it. Or it'll basically round up, or it'll normalize it to one of those numbers so that you're always going to be playing one of these animations. And that's what was happening, is because what we want is we want a direction that's coming out here and a direction coming out there and there. So we need those point values, the 0.5s. So what we're going to do is, whoops, wrong one. This one here, we need to replace this. So if we have a look at what this is saying, if agent velocity is, not equal to 0, then take the look direction, run the normal on it with the velocity and direction. Otherwise, if it's standing still or if there's no targeting, just do the look direction and the last position that you're in, or something like that. It's basically saying that, if you're moving, point in the direction that you need to go and make the value 1 or whatever using this orthonormal vector 2, which is actually a function in another utility script that was written. We're going to leave that utility script as it is because I don't want to break anything else, but we're just not going to call on it for this section here. So what we are actually going to do is I've posted this up on the Discord channel, which you can grab off there. I don't know if I'll be able to link to it anywhere in the description, but if you are on the Discord channel, you'll be able to get access to that script that we need. The next bit here. So I'm just going to copy this and click that much. Yep, that's all I need. And I'm going to replace that with this. That shouldn't give us any red squigglies. No. It will. Okay, cool. So I need to put in that there. So I've called this thing last look direction here, but I need to actually define that somewhere. And I believe I do that back up the top, don't I? Just having a look here to make sure that I've got that correctly. Alright, let me find where I've put that first. Big definition. Alright, so we need to find that somewhere. So now that I've copied that in, it's obviously looking for the variable last look direction. To do that, I'm actually going to click here and I'm going to go peak definition, and you'll see that I've got this look direction for animations. The target list should be this, and it's down by default. We can leave that as it is, we don't have to worry, but we're also going to put in another bit there, and you can see now I've put in the vector2 last look direction. So it's just a vector2 and just called up here where we've got look direction. It's in the same script. And it's somewhere else. You can just use that search function or the find reference to be able to do that. I'm going to click save because this shouldn't break anything, so it should be fine. And then we come here, let's just have a look at what I'm doing. So I'm going last look direction equals look direction. The reason I was doing this is because I was having trouble when I had it just as look direction equals agent when I was doing the standing still. So when you were standing still, it wouldn't know where to face, and would just automatically face down. And I didn't want it to automatically face down. I wanted it to look in whatever the last direction you were heading in was. But because I wasn't finding the target, and because it did all the orthonormal stuff out there, anyway, I had to redo it. So this here is talking about when you're moving, you just have a look towards the whatever your target is or whatever velocity you're traveling in. So left, right, up, down, and then it will normalize that. Normalize that, but not ortho-normalize it. So it will just give you a 0.5 or a 0 or 1 or whatever. And that should work even if you have other compass points. I think it should be okay. Then we come down here. This is obviously when we stopped. We want the look direction to be the last look direction. So the last time you were moving, it will point to that direction. And if you don't have a target, so if you've WAS'd and instead of click to move, then it does this thing here where it uses the orthonormal vector2 transform position look direction. Did I? That's definitely how I had it. Yeah, let me have a look. Okay, yeah. So I think I had to have that part in there because of the way the targeting works. Oh, that's right. That was because what I was having was the NPCs that were actually attacking me were looking completely up. They were looking in like the last area that you were in without updating the target. So you would walk from the left of them, they'd swing in an attack, and then you'd go on to their right and they're still aiming left when they're attacking you. So you want them to at least turn around and update to look at where you are. So that's what I had to throw in there in order to get that to work correctly. Anyway, that's all the core changes we need to do. We've saved that out now. And we're able to apply that now to our main character. Come across back here, and we're just going to go to the console, make sure that moves. Yep, inconsistent line headings, don't worry about that. And then entity effect mount is never assigned to, and have the default value null. So I'm going to double click that because I want to actually come up to here. So there we do that. This was a fix that I saw in someone else's tutorial. We're actually just going to call that null. And that should save out without any issues. Yep, that's good. And then we're going to come back here. That's going to clear that out. Cool. And then the lining is just because of the way I'm editing in Visual Studio. It should be fine, but we can clear those and there's no troubles. All right. So there's a couple of things that we need to do now to get our orthographic, 8 cardinal point characters in, but let's have a look at switching over to Tile now to get our map prepared and then get all the other graphics and that prepared for what we need to do afterwards. So we're going to jump out of Unity now. I'm going to switch over to Tiled. I should actually bring that up. Oops, not Tiled, I need Tiled. Can't type today. So going to run Tiled, and I'm going to make a new map. I'm just doing this off on another screen at the second. Isometric is for you right down, infinite, 64 by 32, that's what I want to have. Actually, you know what, I'll bring this across to, so these are the settings that I'm using, just 64 by 32. So it's twice the width that it is the height. And I can explain that a bit later on with a diagram of how isometric works. But basically, if you want to make an isometric tile out of a texture you've got, if you've got a square texture What you can do is in a say like Photoshop or another graphic editing program, you can rotate the image by 45 degrees to make it into a diamond, and then you can actually shrink the height by 50%, and that'll actually squeeze it down in such a way that it looks like an isometric tile. It gives you that proper like 45 or 50 degree angle looking down, and it's quite interesting how easy it is to make the isometric viewpoint from that on any kind of given texture that you've got. I mean, hopefully you'd want it to be like a recurring texture so that it will slot in anywhere. Anyway, that's that's off topic. So let's just have a look at this. I'm just going to go save as, and I'm going to save it into a folder. I've actually put aside a folder now where I've got all of my graphics that I need for the game. So that way I'm going to import them all at the one time and have all the graphics there and ready to go, and the map ready to go. So as opposed to like, bringing in assets and all that sort of stuff. So just going to call it here. Just going to call it shoot map 1. Going to save it. And I'll bring tiled across to here so that we can actually see it. I don't need these because these are already done. I want to close them. Tilesets. Whoops, that's not actually what I wanted to do. So I want to close that off. Now we're going to go here. View, where are my tilesets? Oh no, what have I done? See, I'm actually new to this too, so I'm not really sure. Oh, views and toolbars, that's what I want to have. All right, tilesets. There we go. So now we've got a nice blank page. This is what you'll see when you come in. So we set it to 64 by 32, so you can see we've got a nice little hexagonal, isometric grid here. That's fine. We want to make a new tileset. I'm going to click here for new. The name, we're actually going to say embed in map. No, we're not actually. So we're going to just find our source at the moment. I'm going to click browse. And we're already in the folder that we want. So the first one I want is the grass and water, because I'm going to be using that quite a bit. Got to click open. So it's already calling it grass and water based on that embed in map. No, we'll leave that off. It's already set the tile with 64 by 32. So what you need to do is make sure, what I need to do is show you where to get these graphics from. So these particular ones I've actually gotten from opengameart.org. I've got a bunch of extra pieces as well. If you want to copy the exact same ones that I've got, you can find them here. We've got grass and water. Yeah, here's the grass and water one. So you're looking for Clint Bellinger. Clint Bellinger. Anyway, you can search him up online, and he's got a bunch of isometric tiles and stuff for his games on the free thing. So obviously you don't want to use these if you're actually going to be pumping out a full game. You want to get your own graphic art done. But for the purposes of learning, these are actually really great because these are really nice isometric tiles, especially for the theme that I'm going for with mine. So you can just download all of those and put them all together into one folder like I've done here with the shoot map. So you can see I've got everything all sorted in here, and I've got a couple of different folders for different pieces. What you want to do though for tiled is you want to just bring in some of the ground tile sets, so none of the walls, anything like that. What you'll need, I'm bringing in the stairs because I'll be able to put them in. It doesn't really matter too much about those, but basically just your flat ground areas into here. So we've got this one, we're going to bring it up. Grass and water is fine. We're going to click save as. And then what we're going to do is we're going to save it into the same folder as the base here that has the image inside it. We're just going to click save. And you can see now that it is not the right shape that we want. Oops. Okay, we don't want to do that. So let's cancel that out. We'll close that. And we'll try that one again. I'm actually just going to delete that file as well so that we don't have that issue. Going to delete that. So why did that not work? What tile size? Oh, the 64 by 64. That's why. Okay. So this is one of the things that you need to realise with tiled as well. So even though our mapping game is 64 by 32, the tiles that we're bringing in are 64 by 64. It doesn't matter when you're in tiled. Things might not line up too well if you do them at different resolutions and stuff. But we'll go for that. So the tiles are 64 by 64 each on a base tile of 64 by 32. So what that's basically saying, if we come back into tiled here, I'm going to click new tile set. Yeah, based on the grass and water. Yeah, cool. So tile height, we need to change this tile height to 64. Because what it's doing is when it was looking at those images, it was basically going 32 down and then cutting it off and putting on the new one. But unfortunately in the actual image spreadsheet that it had, they're all 64 by 64, and that's how they're spaced. So we're just going to pick Save As again, save it as grass and water, and now you can see each square is highlighted exactly where it should be, with the right amount between it, and that's how we can do that. So that's fine. We're going to call this one here, going to rename, if I can, to just ground level 1. Because we might want to put things over the top of the grass rather than trying to match it up, we'll just do it like that. Going to add in the next tile set that I want, which is going to be the flagstone tiles. So we can call it flagstone, that should be fine. And I want to make sure that those had their own, here's the flagstone, 64 by 32. So yeah, as you can see they're a little bit different tile height, but they'll both be, excuse me, 64 by 32 when they're on the map, so they'll actually sit on top of each other perfectly fine. It's just the way that the sprite sheet was done that we need to worry about there. So I'm going to click Save As. Yep, 32 flagstone tiles is fine, we'll call it that. And now you can see, yep, that's also fine. Come back across to here. Open it up, let's get the next one. We don't want the dungeon walls, they're going to be fine. Oh, you know what I've done? I think I've selected the wrong ones. Okay, so I'm going to cancel that. I mixed myself up because I already had another map thing open. So let's go new tile set. I'm going to click Browse. We're in ISO Redux. I want to click, make sure you're on the folder that you've got everything saved into. It shouldn't matter because I can probably copy the images across and I'll still read them. But I'm just going to redo it anyway just to make sure that I've got it correct. I'm going to click that. Open grass and water. Yep. And we need to change that to, oops, delete 64. I'm going to click Save As, grass and water. Yep, save over the top of that, should be fine. And then we'll make another one, and this one's going to be the flagstone tiles. We're going to open that up. Yep, 64 by 32. Yep, definitely, that should be fine. Flagstone tiles. Yep, save, override it, no worries. And there should be one more that I'm going to do because we're going to actually make the dungeon as well. So we want the tile set cave. Even though it's got walls in it, we don't have to worry about those. We only really want the base, or the top lines there, which have the floors in them. And I'm just going to make sure that that is also the right size. The dungeon one, we're only after the walls for that, so that's fine. Cave tile set, here we go. Does it tell us what size they are at? It doesn't, so we'll just have to test and adjust. So I'm just going to call that tile set cave 1. And I've got a feeling it's actually going to be larger than that because the height will be different. Let's go 60, whoops, not 64, let's go 128 and save as tile cave 1. I think that might be, no, okay, so it's 32, but then it goes to the different sizes there. So because we're not going to use any of the, oh, we are going to use those though, so how is that going to work? This might cause us a little bit of problem. So let's close that off. Let's go and do a new one. All good. Sorry, I just got a message I better check. Oh, yep, nice. Excellent. Alright, let's go back to that tile set. Tile set cave 2. And take that off. So we want 64 by 32. Let us try that out, see if that works, at least for the top layer. Tile set cave. 1, 2, 3. Yep, all good. And then these are obviously going to be cut off because they're not all in line. So that there we'll have to actually edit in a different manner. I did want to have the water in there and the water edges, but I might come back to that a little bit later on. At least we've got these ones down. This is all that we're really going to use at the moment. And that should be fine because we'll put the walls in the game itself, so that should be fine. Should be fine. We could actually do it in here, but no, I'm not gonna bother with that. So all good. All right, so let's have a look now at building our test map. So we've got the things, say, it looks like they sit up above, but they really do sit up above, don't they? Then what happens if we bring these in? Why are they sitting up? Oh, because it's doing the double height, the 64 space rather than the 32 tight on that. So that's fine. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Just going to wipe that out. Why can't I delete those? Whatever. Yay. Alright, cool. So I want to actually zoom out from this. I'm just going to go 50%. We want a nice big area that we can do, so let's just get a square, fill it up with water. And I'm doing this because I want to have a border around what I make. And that border will be waterfall. And you'll see that there's like this black bounding box. That's actually going to be like a bounding box for if you're saving off the object as an image, that sort of thing. But let's just increase the border around here. Shouldn't really matter too much. Alright, now let's go to the grass. Let's just set up a big brick of grass in the middle there. That should be enough if we zoom in. That's a lot of squares that we can run around in. Yeah, that should be plenty. And what we can also do is I might want to have a nice little moat cut in there, and maybe a little pond over here. It's not really a moat, is it? But you know what I mean. Open that up, just give it a little bit of flavour. Maybe we want to pop that in there. So this will be our dungeon entrance up the top here. This will just be random fields, and maybe down here will be the little starting safe area or safe town. Maybe a little forest over this side. Cool, so we've done that. Now let's get to our section here, and let's go, whoops. So we're just doing a nice edging off on there. Alright, and then of course we want to run it down here as well. I don't need the corner piece there. Whoops. Cool. And we just find our corner thing. So this is really, I mean, just design what you want to design. I'm just trying to do this as quickly as I may. And then we need the one that's the inside corner. Just going to try and drag, where is it? This up a bit here so I can see a little bit more. That's the one we need. And run this along. Oops. Slow your hands. Run that there. And of course I'm obviously changing the size of the water that I got there by doing that, but that's alright. Don't mind that too much. Pop that in there. This one here. And then of course we're going to need this one for this side. That could sit out there. And we'll need this one for the join. And you've got a couple of shapes here too to add some variety, so we can add that in there, make it look a little bit different. So it's not just one, you know, similar line the whole way through. Click that there, pull this one across. Okay. Have I got the right selection there? It doesn't look like it lines up. Oh well, I'm sure it does. Ah, okay, that's why. It's just a optical illusion. So don't mind me, I'm just going to take a little bit of time doing this. I think that's the right one we need, yep. And then we'll grab that. And yeah, like I was saying, just bear in mind that it will shrink the water edge down unless you want to cut into the thing you've got, so it's just a design decision. We'll fix that bit up there. This is just an exercise in somewhat of perfection. That's not what I want to have. Obviously you don't have to go to this detail, I could just leave it as is, but I don't want to, so too bad. You'll have to put up with it for the few minutes that it takes me. Oops. There we go, that's what I wanted. Do that. Nice. That's a good shot. And we'll just try and change it up a little bit. Oops. A little bit of variety. And that should be it. That should be all of our sections. Oh, no, sorry, we got to do this part as well. This is the funnel one. Got our nice corners in. And we could add our grass bars. Oops. I don't actually have my... Oh, I do have it, but it's just on the other screen. Let's bring it up. I seem to have a viewer. At least nobody's talking, so that's fine. It's probably just me, actually. I think that's how it counts it. That's fine. If I do get viewers, I will try and pay some attention. Anyway. Alright, so this is our ground layer. This is our grass. This is our little platform. This is ground level 0, or ground level 1, should I say. So what we want to do next is we want to create a little dungeon area that players can warp to once they go into the thing. It's not going to be instanced yet because I don't think instancing is in the 2D version, but there will be soon. But let's have a look at our cave tile set, and we'll start making a cave section. So we're going to come up here now. I'm going to drag out a smaller size. Yeah, we'll keep it a little bit away from there so that we don't try and get any crossover. Might zoom out a bit again just so I can see where the boundaries are. Yep, cool. So let's do this because we'll make it a nice big cave for everyone to have some fun in. We're not going to use any of the tracks. I mean, you can if you really want. Oh, I suppose I could probably put some in, but it wasn't really what I was after. You've got a couple of different floor types to add in a little bit of you can mix it up with the randomizing, so you can basically place any of those sort of ones in a way and it'll just break up the monotonous pattern if you've got it. So we'll change types. I'm just going to draw some lines in there. I don't know how it's actually going to look when you're running around it. You can see you've got some lighter patterns there. Just going to change the way some of that looks. So what does that look like when we come up close? Oh, it actually changes it quite a bit with that one, so let's pop that back in. No, God, they all look bad. Does it look much more horrible than I meant it to? Anyway, it's just to add a little bit of variety, and then of course you got your ones like little pebbles and stuff around, so let's just throw a few of those in there. Not going to draw lines of them because this is more like debris that's on the ground, and of course we'll have walls and that around them too, so it really depends on where you're going to put it. There, another one there, another one here, one down here, there and there. different scale pieces. Just represent that this is a really bad place, right? I think that's all we really need for that. I'll put these in afterwards, because what I'm going to do now is to make it... You can technically do this after you import the map, but I'd rather actually just do it now, because the rest of this area here is just going to be jet black from the camera, to sort of, you know, have nothingness, which is why I wanted to get it far away from here so you don't see that by accident. But let's have a look. We may as well start chopping it up now. Yeah, so what I was saying is that you can do this afterwards when you brought it into Unity, because you'll be able to edit the tile map still, but it might look a little bit weird if we start doing that. So I'm just going to chop it up here and get what I want out of it. So I'm just going to start... Why, that is the eraser, isn't it? Yeah, eraser. Why can't I erase anything? There we go, that's why. So it wasn't doing that right. 50%. Let's just say you start up here. Don't want to have much going on there. Maybe I do want you to start popping out over here. I'm going to erase this part. I'm going to erase this part. I don't want to make it too complex shapes, because we've only got, you know, these wall pieces in a certain fashion, and if you start sort of trying to do funky things with them, it might give you a bit of grief. But I basically want to make, like, you know, a cave where you can have multiple pathways, or, you know, like a little bit of difference in them. But obviously it's still going to be a bit of a square because I don't want to go too crazy with it. Maybe we'll empty out this space as well, and then we'll bring it down here so that it looks a bit more curved and a little bit more natural. But yeah, again, like, I don't want to be like what, but I have to be on the corners, so that's fine. We'll bring that down as well. Maybe it can come in at this point too and then go back out. Yeah, right, that'll be fine for now. It's just a dungeon, and this of course will be the entrance to your dungeon area, and sorry, this is the entrance as well, so that's where it joins up and then ships you across. That should be fine. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to make a new layer, new tile layer, and we're going to call this ground level 2. And this is where we're going to bring our flagstone tiles into it. So we're going to go 100% again. And then we'll make this one of our sections. So we're going to go back to the box, going to draw it out. Here we go. And I didn't bring in the staircase, did I? I was going to, but I ended up changing my mind. May as well bring it in here. Let's create a new tile set. Dungeon stairs, yep. And they were... What were the dungeon stairs? Let me just have a quick look on the system. Okay, I don't have them on here. I think they were 128 by something else. But anyway, dungeon stairs, let's just go 128 by 128. See how that works. Save as that. Save, dungeon stairs. Yeah, that's it's actually come up alright, I think. So, dungeon stairs over there. Now we can place them. So it doesn't sit, you know, quite flush with the map, but it will have to do... Oh, okay, so that's actually causing us... Oh, we're going to have to put that over the top, that's why. Alright, cancel that. We're going to need a new layer, so a new ground layer, layer, whoops, level 3. That's just for our stairs, so we don't... it's just anything that sits over the top of the stone tiles there. So we can put that in like that. If we really wanted to, we can come back here and put in a new set of tiles around that way, so that we've definitely got 2 and a bit, or 1 and a bit on either side. Yeah, I like that. I'm not going to put anything along there because that's just going to be a wall there anyway. Oh, actually no, we can, because we can get away with that. There you go. And now it looks centered enough that that's perfectly fine. So that's our dungeon entrance up here, and you'll have to come through the forest to get there. Maybe we'll have a sort of actually, we can do some of this. We can mix it up. Let's put in a couple of little cracks. Just change it up a bit. Gotta make it there so it looks like it joins up. There's a crack over here, and these discoloured tiles. That's fine. Another one there like that. That's how that looks. Let's come over here. Let's make our own. This is just going to be a nice little statue area that just looks cool. We'll play with that a little bit later. And then let's make our little city. So we're going to make this big one here. And then inside it we're going to have this. Actually, we'll make it the full section there. Whoops. Just fill in that last little blank spot. And maybe we'll have one or two of these in there. So doesn't look completely new, but that's fine. We don't want it to be a ruined area. Maybe we'll make another one so that we can definitely say that this is a little village. You can have like a little crafting station and a hut for the alchemist to sit in, that sort of thing. And draw that there like that. And then maybe on this side we're going to have these pieces. Give it a little bit more fancy. That's all we really need to do for that, because everything else is going to be done in the engine. So that's pretty much it for our map building. And if we zoom out to fit that, we can now see that we've got that huge area there. Oh, we might need a spot to do our characters in, so let's use the flagstone tiles for that. So let's zoom back into 100%, and we're going to make a couple of little squares. Just put it on regular tiles. So we want that. Then we want to do the clone stamp. I'm going to right click to copy it. I'm going to paste 2, 3, and 4. So that's our 4 positions that we're going to start in. Actually, you know what, I'm going to put that over here, and I'm going to delete this one because we've got that sort of boundary there, and I don't like the way that does things. But this is obviously our character select screen there. We may have to change how close in they are at some stage, but you know, yeah, maybe we'll just make it a bit smaller. And if it doesn't match the size that we want, then too bad. So we just need a little 3x3 one. I'm going to clone stamp it. I'm going to select just those 3, 2, 3, 4. There, excellent. So I'm going to save this now that we've got that. So that's saved the map, and then it's also saved the all the connections to the different graphics and stuff like that. So now that we've got that, what we want to do is we want to actually bring this whole folder with everything, all of our graphics and stuff in it. Going to just copy that, and we want to bring it into our project, into a folder here. So I'm just going to right click that, show in Explorer. It's going to take me here, and then I'm just going to not paste it there. I've done that the wrong way. Where are we? Shoot map. Going to come here. I'm actually just going to take the whole folder, copy, so that I've got it in a nice folder here rather than a whole bunch of different folders and files and whatnot. So I'll let that copy across. Yeah, so the virtual ecology. That was a cool thing that should have happened but didn't, mainly because of the way it was implemented. I think that there was a few things that they could have done to probably make it more viable. I know that they tried to fix things up in it after the fact, but the problem was, I think it was actually the design of the game is one of the leading causes to why it happened the way it did, and it's to do with the way the progression works in Ultima Online. Not something that they can really help themselves, but there's ways of getting around it. But I'll try and dedicate a whole video to that sometime in the future. For now, let's just try and make it through this one while we can. Alright, so now we come back across to Unity, and it's going to try and import everything. So we'll just let it run through, see how it goes. Oh, demonetized for that. So it's going to bring it in. And just check through this. So I've got a lot of graphics because I had a whole bunch of different animations for my characters. I'll show you one of the graphics later and show you what you'll need to do in order to ensure that you have everything you need for the character and any of the other monster characters that you've got. Okay, it should be fine. But we'll go through. While this is lightning, may as well go on with it. So, so the virtual ecology was a system where basically the grass grows depending on certain variables. The herbivores eat that grass and the plants in the area, and then of course the carnivores eat the herbivores from that area. And the idea was that the carnivores would be the ones that you get all your trophy stuff from. So players would instantly want to target those because they got to go collect the pelts or they got to go do this and that. And in the minds of the developers, is what they were saying is that they didn't expect players to actually target the herbivores themselves, but what was happening is the players were wiping out every living creature on the map in a way that was just swarming across the map and destroying it all. And they were not expecting it to the point where they actually wiped off every living creature on the map before it could regenerate and replenish the population, which basically threw the whole balance of the ecology out of whack, and they had to try and fix it by disincentivizing the players from getting it or offering more gold and less value to killing things, but the players still did it anyway. So they ended up in the end just scrapping it, and they went with a spawn system that works like you would see in World of Warcraft now, where it's it spawns a mob every few minutes to make up for the fact that there's no mob. So you see it every now and then where basically you've got to go collect 10 wolf pelts from the nearest area in the noob spawn, right? So you end up in the noob spawn and you're there and there's already a guy farming the wolves. He kills a bunch and then you got to wait for your turn, but that guy's still waiting there because he's still got another 3 that he needs to knock off to complete his quest. So you're just basically lining up and taking turns to slaughter, a respawning beast. And the problem is that once you leave that area, those beasts just respawn again, right? So there's no real effect on the game world, which is the opposite of what this ecology system was going to do, is that you are making an effect on the game world when you attack these creatures. And what it would effectively lead to is a break in the food chain. So you take out one of these animals that was actually the food source of a predator, and that predator now doesn't have a food source, so it has to search further for food, which means that it will move away from the area that it normally resides in and move somewhere else. And it will keep going on until you get all the way up to the top of the chain where you have something like a dragon that would prey on the other creatures, but because those creatures are gone now, it has to start flying further away to find its food, and eventually it might fly into a village and start eating the livestock or attacking the villagers there. And then of course a quest will pop up because the villagers we're under attack from a dragon, so you'd have to go save the villagers, all because some guy killed a rabbit in an area that he shouldn't have killed a rabbit in. It creates a really fun balance. In a way, there's even things like you could start a fire in a forest and burn off all the grassland, and then there's nothing for the rabbits to eat, so the rabbits go somewhere else, and then of course the wolves have to chase the rabbits where they're going to find the food source, and then wolves are attacking a town, and then you have all sorts of things like that. So there's just a plethora of awesome player-generated content that you can get just from this system. But the problem is that the system didn't have time to do all the calculations properly, because the players would pretty much kill off everything before the rebirth rates would come into effect. So it's it was just very interesting the way that it all panned out, and how in my opinion, we're suffering from it, because I really hate that mechanic of mob spawn thing. It's very annoying. But what I think the big problem was for Ultima Online is that you level up by doing the action that you're doing. So by swinging a sword, you're learning tactics and something else, like a few other skill types that all progress as you attack more. So your ability to hurt someone else with a sword goes up the more you use the sword, which is fine. It's an interesting way of doing the leveling, so that you level in a specific type of weapon rather than all weapons. And it's not just like clicking on a skill tree. It's literally doing the action will get you better at it. But the problem there is that you need the practice. And though there might have been 1 or 2 practice dummies, it wasn't as fun as going around and actually killing something and getting something off of it. So I think that was one of the big things there, but I'll go back into that a little bit later. Now that we've got everything brought in, we'll just check console. There's no errors at all, which is great to see. So everything's in there, that's cool. And we're going to open up our tile map, tute map folder, and you can see it's brought everything across. Because we've had our SuperTile to Unity in, it's recognizing the TMX files as tiled assets, and then of course it's got our tute map there. So now what we're going to do, normally I would actually just turn these off deactivate them in the thing. Actually, let's just hide our canvas because the canvas always gets in the way. So you can see here, this is our regular dungeon entrance, and it looks it's pretty groovy. He's added in the wall thing. I never really used the dungeons before. I haven't done that yet, but we're going to play around with it a little bit later. So you can see you've got the two different areas. The screen will never go big enough to cut across so that you see the outlier of that. You should always just see the blue around here. And that's all the water, and everything's fine there. We're going to get rid of both of those. Don't need them anymore. We've got this little skull floating here because it's actually its own little thing with a collider on it. That's cool to see. We're going to move all of our saplings out of the way. And we've got here Guardian. I think, is he a monster, is he? Or is he just a thing that stands somewhere? No, it's an NPC. Alright, cool. So you must, how can I help you today? Quests, find the dungeon. Okay, so he tells you how to get to the dungeon, and then the alchemist is on. So they've just added in a character. Don't know what it's supposed to do, but cool. So now we've got this as our basic area. That's all good. What we want to do now is we want to bring in our tute map. So let's bring that in. You can see it's already changing it, set to the isometric angle that we want. But where are all the tiles? Well, who knows? So we can see here that the tiles are all way offset over here. So all we have to do, I don't know whether there's a way to better set that to wherever. I think it's just weird how it puts the pivot on the map. But of course, when we bring it across here, we are seeing that there is... Oh, hang on, where's our ground level 2? Oh, that's right, what we've got to do. Set them from default to terrain. We want to do this terrain 1, 2. What's going on? Where's our extra terrain? It's not showing up our other terrain pieces. Do we have any errors in there? We shouldn't have. That's very interesting. Don't know why. Oh, maybe if we go to project settings, let's check our graphics. Now we want custom access 1, 0. Hasn't made any changes, but that is usually how we have it set up. So there's a couple of weird little groove issues in there. Otherwise, everything else has come across the way we wanted it to. I don't know why we can't see those others. So top right, terrain, sorting error, order and layer, let's go 10. Right, 1. Oh, so it hasn't dragged them across because I've dragged the wrong part across. Whoops, silly me. Going to hit Control Z on a whole bunch of things because I obviously clicked a little too much. There we go. All right, everything's where it should be now. Apologies, I obviously went and did a bit of a silly, and I moved across the wrong piece. But we're going to select all of those, make sure that they're on terrain, so that they're at the bottom of all the stuff that we're bringing across. Then we're going to click the parent object and move that across. Now, as I was saying, we want to put that there because that's where our alchemist is. He's going to stand in that little building. Or you know what? No, let's move it off a little bit. Actually, it doesn't matter. We're going to move it because it's going to change. So you can see our alchemist is pretty goddamn huge for the map. It's not the right size. When it comes across, it's a lot smaller. I'm not sure if you can export it in a different way or whatever. I don't know enough about tiled, but I do know one quick fix that we can do, and let's just make it 3 times bigger. That's the magic number that I've found. It's going to obviously throw things back out of balance again, but when we come across, we can bring it down here. And now if we click our alchemist, press F to zoom in, we can see he's now at a better size. He fits on, effectively 1 tile Doesn't really matter because our other characters are going to be a different size anyway when we bring them across. So that's all good. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to save for now. That should be fine like that. Alright, so yeah, we've got a couple of these weird sort of little glitchy bits here. I don't really know how to fix that. It's never really happened to me in the other thing before. I think it's just a randomness in the sort order for the layers, maybe because they're doing the top right. Could try and figure that out if we want to, because it's ground level 1, isn't it? So we can just go bottom right, ooh, bottom left, no, top right, try top left, no, alright, definitely want the top right then. Auto, let's go, no, chunk, we're going to do individual, no, just leave it as chunk, alright, whatever, get over it, it's fine, there can be little lines in our terrain. Can't remember what the fix is, it might even actually fix itself up when we get to the thing. It's not really happening in here, is it? No, everything here seems to be alright, so it's just a weird thing. And then of course we've got our little 4 spots here, so let's just work on these 4 spots first. We're going to come to our network manager, select location 0. We can see that we're actually going to drag all of them down this way so that they're on our screen when we want to move them. Yep, location 0, we're going to place that there. Location 1, place it there. Location 2, place it there. Location 3, place it there. So that's on that. Camera position. So that, we're going to move it to here. Just going to make sure that's centered up. Should have actually moved that all together as one big thing, but that's fine. So that should get us to where we want. I might bring it up a little bit as well, just in case it screws it up. Or if that doesn't work, then we'll figure it out. We can actually try and, you know what, let's just try and run it for now, and we'll see. Oh, so this is going to take a little while to run, actually, come to think of it. No, it isn't. It's actually going to load up a lot quicker than my other one does. Excellent. That's because I haven't changed the player sprites. I think my particular player sprites are quite hefty. So I'm just going to click server and play. There you go, plenty of space on there to put your characters. I might even have to move it a bit lower, I think, so we'll turn that off. Camera position, get that going. We'll move it up so it's about there. And that should do it. So it might have actually been alright with a bigger space. Anyway, we've got that now. That is all fine. Now, let's talk about how to change the entity. We're going to start with the monster controller. So we've got our saplings here. Let's go across to one of our doodads. Hide the canvas again because I can't stand that thing. Got this sapling here, this one will do. F to pay respects and focus. Let's bring him down here where we can see him a little bit better. And let's open that up. So now we've got, because in obviously 2018.3 onwards, you've got the nested prefabs, and then you've got to edit the prefab in this section here. Alright, cool. And we want to get the controller for him. I'm going to open that up so we've got that ready to go. And we want to get our sapling. Now this is where things are going to get funky with the way I change my entities, because I'm using my fancy characters. So we're going to go to Tube Map. I'm going to go to my character art folder where I've got my NPC monster dude. We're going to get the halberdier. Going to bring it into the sapling here, and we're going to click on saving failed, check the console. Oh yeah, but that's alright because it's got those on it. Alright, so that's something I need to delete that. I need to come across here, going to open this prefab, discard the changes for now, and I'm going to remove, because I don't need any of those. Everything else is as it should be, and we're going to save that, and that should be fine. Now if I open it up again, don't get that thing. Yep, cool. So yeah, it's because it had missing scripts, it was giving me errors, but I just took those missing scripts off, and now it should be fine. So let's come back. Let's get our sapling. Select as your sapling. Go to our controller. Yep, and then I want to get my halberdier prefab again. Bring it back in. Now we come to the scene, we can see the sapling, but what I'm going to do is turn off that sprite renderer, and you can see, even though I've got this silly gizmo in the way, get off 3D items, you can't see it, and that's because I think the halberdier body renders, yeah, they're at 90 degrees, and who knows why they do that. There we go, cool. Alright, so now here's my character, and we're going to need to get the name overlay and stunned overlay to float above it, or actually we might end up getting it below it. No, it'll have to be above because I've got the shadow below it. Oops, send overlay, name overlay. Yeah, cool. Alright, aggro area is also fine. Might actually make that a little bit bigger. Cool. Now we've got this character. This is going to be my base thing here, and I believe I have to take that off. So we have to do a few things here to change what we need to change. So everything else stays the same on it, but we need the animator on this. Now I just want to make sure that I've got the same thing in my other folder before I go setting this in stone. Let's find our sapling. Open him up. Yeah, I've got an animator on that. Sort by depth on those. Still got the controller there, but which one is this one? Yep, okay, excellent. So what I need to do is I need to put an animator on here. So I'm going to click animator, and we're going to come up here, we're going to get the controller, and we're going to drag that into here. So now the controller is actually on this part of the prefab, so that one of the child objects. Come back into our top parent object, and we're going to change the animator in that to this one. So now it's, instead of reading from the animator that's sitting up here, it's going to read it from the one that's in there. I can't turn off that top animator, and I probably won't need to, so we're going to leave that as it is. And then I'm going to come to the body render, shadow and color renderer, and I'm going to add a component, and we're going to call it sprite, sort by depth. And then for each of them, I need to bring this sprite renderer on the object itself into there. So now each of those will go to where they need to go. I need them to be an entity. So I'm going to set that to entities layer. And that should be it for the basics of it. It's just going to use the regular sapling abilities and just run as a regular sapling. So all the same stuff. The difference will be in the controller itself. So yep, we've got that open. Now we need to come to our animation. So when we come through here, you can see we've got the 4 points, and we actually need to change that to 8 points. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So fairly simple. We're just going to click add motion field. Yep, add motion field, add motion field, add motion field. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all we need. Cool. And now you can see, I don't know why I've still got the little thing there. Oh, that's right, because it's playing the animation, but also keeping the weird halberdier thing on it. Alright, so we got up, down, up, right, down, left. Cool. Now let's go to my folder where I have the halberdier, and I need the animations. We've got idle, 0, 1, 2, and I can't preview it because of the way it is, but I know that it's so up, up, right, right. So it's 0, 1. So it's the even numbers where I want it to be idle up. And then I need idle 2 for right, idle 4 for down, and idle 6 for left. And why is it doing that then? Let's get our halberdier on here. Yep. There we go. So it's because it was, yeah, it had the preview for another object in it. So now you can see, if I bring this up so it makes it a little bit easier for you to see, when we start to, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Where's my red dot? Yep, cool. As we start to move this around, you can see my guy moves around in 4 different directions. This one here, he looks like he's sort of standing off to the side. It's just because of the way he's standing with the spear. So that's my doodad, but now we need to have these 4 cardinal points on here, so the extra points to make the 8. So what we want to do is, the next one would be, obviously, that if that's 0, 1 is the top there, it's going to be 0 and 0.5, 0.5. No, it's going to be 0.5, 0.5. Yep, yeah, 0.5, 0.5. Cool, so that's that one there, and that's going to be our upright. So that's going to be idle 1 on my little list here. So now you can see he's got that there. So we can switch between those points, and now he's going to look in that direction. Now, of course, we need the next one down. And this is 0.5, negative 0.5, so we need 0.5 and negative 0.5. And that one needs to be idle 3, which is down there. And then this one here, it will be negative 0.5 and negative 0.5. And that needs to be idle 5. Yep, that's correct. And then the last one will be negative 0.5 and 0.5. 0.5 for the Y, is it? Oops. 0.5. Yes, correct. All right, excellent. And then we put in idle number 7. So now, when we move through the different states, we can see we've got a full 8 points for him to go around in. Whoa, crazy. Awesome. All right, cool. So that's how we do that one there. I also realised I haven't put my Twitch thing on there. I should probably paste that in case anyone wanted to actually watch me. My bad. How do I get to my little spot? Let's go to my channel, yeah. Well, anyway, people can join in halfway through and they can always come back to the start to watch it when I put it up on YouTube. It should be fun. What's going on in my... No, that's all good. Don't need anything else from that. Alright, cool. So that's our idle state. Now we need to do this for each of the different animation states in the thing, so I'm going to quickly try and go through that as much as I can. We need to add another one, add another one, add another one, and another one. And of course the last one was negative 0.5 and 0.5. Then we had negative 0.5, negative 0.5. Then we had 0.5, negative 0.5. Then we had 0.5, 0.5. Pretty sure that's how it went. We shall find out soon enough. Yes, correct. Now we need the walk animations, and I've got a move. So we need, where are we? 0, 2, 4, and 6, and then 1, 3, 5, and 7. You can name these whatever you want. This is just the way I used an asset to get my 3D models with their animations saved out to a sprite sheet, or basically, and with animations automatically done. But it just basically goes 0 to whatever number frame you've got, or whatever angle you've got, because we've obviously got 8. It's going from, it's just eight angles. Yours will be called whatever it is. Just make sure you line them up to the correct thing, and then you can always run through with this little red dot to check that they all do the right animation. If I play it, or it should play in loop. So our dude's now walking in all the different directions that we need him to walk in. Yep, looks good to me. I'm going to come back here. I'm just going to click File, Save, so that everything saves and I don't lose everything if something happens. Now, of course, we need our attack. I'm going to do the same thing. Plus, plus, and plus. And 0.5, 0.5. 0.5, negative 0.5. Negative 0.5, negative 0.5. And then negative 0.5, 0.5. That's the different ones. I'm going to come down to our attack. Attack 0, 2, 4, 6. Attack 1. Attack 3. Attack 5. Attack 7. Now, so I've got these guys. Let's play. Oh, yep. So he's swinging his halberd. Excellent. And then everything's fine from that. So we come back to our base. We've also got a drop dead. I don't actually have a dying animation, so he's just going to stand there when he's dead and go, "Ooh, look at me, I'm an angry man." That's cool. We've got that now saved. That should work effectively how we want it to. So let's go back into our world space. Let's go to our scene, and you can see he's changed. He looks a lot smaller than he did last time. I think I must have adjusted the player size on it then. Well, that's interesting. Alright, so now let's get our tube map. Maybe we'll pop that down to 2. 2, 2, and 1 because we don't need to adjust the Z depth. Where's my little mover-lackey? How does that look? Is that the right height? Yeah, that's more the height that I want. So two times there. Anyway, so as we move around, it should be fine. We may... Oh, no, actually, I do need to do it the other way. So 3, 3, and then we'll move it across. So what I found is that the way the character moves without, having to change all the settings of how fast he moves and things like that, it's easier just to change the sizes of them that I need. And what size did I have him then? If that was 1.5. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back into our sapling, going to open it up, I'm going to go to our halberdier and go 1.5, 1.5, and then just a 1.5 for good measure. We don't really need to because it's only 2D, it's not 3D. But now we need to come up here and we need to look at our colliders. So we've got our circle collider 2D here, so that's the part that we can click on. For our dude and for where we count the edges of his hit space or his walk space. And we'll just make sure that that's correct. Yep, the right thing. So we can do that there. We can always change that to something else, but of course it's got a rigid body on it. So I don't want to muck around with it too much. Alright, that ought to do for clickable space. Everything else should be fine. Alright, yeah, so now he's the biggest size and the map still stays as the 3x3, so that's good. Happy with that. All of our saplings are that now. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select that. I'm not going to call it a sapling, I'm going to call it guardsman. Just call it foe. And of course all these are copies of the one that was in there, so we're going to delete all of those, delete them, delete. These ones don't have any special thing on them, do they? Because they were the dungeon ones, weren't they? No extra scripts for them, no, cool. Alright, awesome. So we can delete those, it's not going to bother us. We've got one foe here and another foe there. Don't know why your name says sapling, it shouldn't, it should just say foe. That's how it works, isn't it? Oh, now that of course we've made the thing bigger, we won't have to open it up and move the name and stunned overlay positioning again. So we're going to raise that up a little bit higher. And named overlay, we're just going to call that foe. Oops, don't need that. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Let's get this guy. I'm going to move him over to the dungeon space. So we've definitely got our dungeon man. And we can obviously break those out to wherever we need. So I control duplicate that one, put him over there, change his name so it's not foe1. Put it with this one. Oh, we need to change our to the field. We'll put it up to, say, here, that's where you can teleport to. We'll get our alchemist and our safe zone and move him down to this building. The safe zone is obviously a box collider, and it's not set to that. I wonder whether we can we do it as a different collider if I remove, no, because safe zone script depends on it. If we remove that and then we add a component, and let's just go polygon collider, points, paths, and we only need 4 points on it. Then we're going to edit those 4 points, going to put one, so this whole building will be safe, and you can heal inside it. Well, you could probably stand outside it and heal, that's fine. Excuse me. Safe zone. And of course it needs a box collider. Okay, cool, I'm going to remove that. God damn it. So I'm going to edit that script because I don't like it using a box collider. Draw cube. Okay, because it wants to do that. Alright. Get component, box collider, required component of. I'm just going to change that for mine. You don't have to do it for yours, but I might do it for polygon. What's the name of the polygon collider that we just had? It is polygon collider. Okay, cool. If it doesn't work, it's because it's called something else. I'll just go polygon collider 2D. Excellent. And we need this to be polygon collider 2D as well. Just basically change box collider for that. Now we're not going to be able to do this at all, so I don't need to worry about that. Let's just delete that, we don't need it, because this is draw the zone, so on draw gizmos. We're going to leave it so it's still going to call this. We actually don't even need this part, we're just not going to draw anything. It's going to click save. See if that gives us any issues. We still need the void there in case it calls it somewhere else. Good. Yeah, I didn't think there'd be any issue with that. So we're going to remove that. And safe zone should still be safe zone. It's just not going to be drawing any of the colouring features. But anything within that polygon collider, hopefully, should work as a safe zone with whatever the safe zone function is. So I think it gives you like healing or makes it so you can't be attacked by the enemy or something. It doesn't really matter. We'll play around with that in another tutorial. I'll figure out a bit more about that because it's not particularly what I'm worried about or concerned about at the moment. Okay, cool. What's next? The player. Player will be the next one that we need to do because we need to do pretty much the same thing that we did for the monster there and do it for the player. So let's open up our warrior. Someone's posting a thing. Yep, cool. Alright, now I've got to bring it up in my other game as well to make sure that I have got everything right. Players, warrior, open prefab. Alright, cool. So let me see what's going on here. Warrior 1.5, body render, everything there as is, cool. Now I need to hide that one. Coming in here to our prefab, nude prefab. Going to open it. It should pop up with that warning again because look at all these scripts that are gone. What's going on? I am actually removing these, right? Yes. Good. It just looked like nothing was happening at all. It's just because there was a whole bunch of scripts on them that needed to be removed. So now that I've got that, I can save that, but I'm actually going to turn these to entities, and I need to add a component. It needs to be the sort by depth, and then for each one of them I need to drag the sprite renderer onto it, sprite renderer, yep, and sprite renderer, And then the male warrior, we're going to need to add an animator component to that. So animator, this is just saving me a bit of time because we already did it before in the last thing. Yep, I do want to save it. Don't worry about that because that was the error that we've just fixed. I'm going to come back here to our warrior. What is everyone? Okay, cool. Sorry, it looks like someone may have joined my stream because someone's just favorited me, so that's good. Yep, cool. I don't care about that. I don't know if someone's still watching me, but whatever. If you are watching me, thank you. How you doing? Don't worry with the like and subscribe. I'm not that kind of person. Anyway, so now I need to start doing what we did before with the character. We're going to need to drag our prefab onto here. Get our male warrior, make it a child of that one. We need to get these and take away that, so we need to go 0. Put it up through there. We need to then turn this to 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. And we need to hide that sprite renderer. Now, where is our... Gizmos are off. Should be there, but apparently it's not. Oops, what am I doing there? Okay, cool. Let's find our player again. Warrior. Yep, 0, 0, 0. Oh, that's right, because I think it put the pivot off. Okay, cool. So, don't know why that does it like that over there. To me, it's not making sense because everything should be exactly where it's meant to be. But for some reason the way it came in was like this, and I may have already fixed that by another way. I wonder whether I should bring in another character that actually has stuff on. I might have to. Give me just a minute. I'm going to come through and fix something else up. I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back for a minute or two. As you can see on the screen, I don't know why, it's only 100 megabytes, but for some reason, swapping from one folder to another, just copy and pasting, is going to take me 7 minutes. It was saying 10 minutes a few minutes ago. So I am just going to go back onto the intermission for a few minutes and take a quick break, stretch my legs. It's been an hour and a half already. Once I get this in, we'll jump straight back into it, and it won't take us too long to get to the next step. There you go. See, it's already dropped to, 2 minutes. Shouldn't be too long, but I'll catch you in a few minutes. All right, and we are back in. Sorry if that startled anyone who was watching. All right, so I've just brought in a new set of graphics. Now I need to check whether that's come in properly. So I've now got a new warrior prefab. I'm just going to open that up, make sure that that is fine to go. Yep, cool. And of course the body renderer will change. I'm going to... So that's the naked one there. I don't want to use that one. I want to use the plate armor. Actually, no, I'll go with the leather armor. The leather armor looks pretty cool. Idle 0 0. Which one are they using anyway? Death. So that's sitting in the death version for whatever reason. That's why it was coming up so funny looking. And then shadow renderer also needs to be the 0, shadow 0. Oh, so we didn't need to do that, I just needed to change that start part. Crap. But that's fine, let's go back to our idle 0. Let's give him a cool looking outfit anyway. Whoops. Body renderer 0 and shadow 0. Cool. And now when we go back to our player, here we are. So that's what our player should look like. So we've got that now, and it's 1.5, 1.5, so we need to get the controller, which is this one. Need to place it on our male warrior section up here. And we need to, yep, that sprite render is off, so we don't have to worry about that. We need to then link the correct animator, which will be this one, to there. Everything else may stay the same. But we want to play with that. Maybe offset a little bit to more to where he's standing. And then just do the radius up a little bit more, so that should be fine there. And I think that's all we need to do for that, so we'll save him out, but we're going to open up our controller now. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the other dude, but we need to get our player here, so we need to get our warrior as the model. You can see, yeah, it's obviously going now, like, oh, what's going on? This is a bit weird looking. I'm just going to drag that out so I've got a little bit more view. Motion, 2, 3, 4. And then this one's going to be 0.5 and 0.5, then 0.5, negative 0.5, and negative 0.5, negative 0.5. Whoops, negative 0.5. Did I do that right? Yes. And then the X will be negative 0.5 and 0.5. And that's our other spots, so that's good. Now we need to get our idle from the correct section here. So I need, I'm only going to be doing the Tsunami, that's naked, didn't need him. Need our idle. I need animations, sorry, not textures. So we've got our idle 0, 2, 4, 6, and then 1, 3, whoops, that's 4, 3, 5, and 7. So why it's got that little doodad on it, I do not know. It's not meant to, but that's alright. If we blend, okay. Let me just double check my other one here. Warrior. I've actually just taken that completely out, haven't I? Yeah, controller. Alright, let's come back to our player. Prefab. Open it up. So you shouldn't have it because that should be gone. I'll remove that. It should be completely gone from there. So why is it not doing it when we're in the prefab? It's definitely saved. Going to go back to the animator now. There we go. But it's not actually changing our dude. So if I go to our male warrior prefab, there we go. Now it's actually changing around, so that's all right. Cool. So it is working there, but it wasn't working on our other character. So we will deal with that a little bit later. We'll see what it's like when we're actually running the game. But for now, let's just keep placing the way we normally would. 0.5, 0.5, negative. Sorry, no, it's not negative. Is 0.5, negative 0.5. Excellent. Now we need to get our walk motion, so move 0, 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, oops, didn't go in, 5, 7. You can obviously click on here and just choose the numbers, but I've got so many move whatevers, it's just easier to click and drag where I can see. We're just going to play, so you can see he's running along. It looks pretty cool. Has no face. If you can actually get to a point where you can see that. No, you can't. Good. No one will know. Normal attack. So we've got a few extra animations for this one here. So we've got our attack, which I just want to make sure it's the correct one that I want. Or attack special 40. Yeah, we'll just go with a normal attack, I think. Should be fine. Attack 0. We're just going to go add. Put in our numbers. 5. Alright. 1. Because we want 2. 4. Whoops, that was the wrong spot to put it in. That's fine. 1, 3, 5, and 7. Now we can attack in all sorts of different locations. And everything should be aligned as it needs to be. So that's for our normal attack. Then of course we're going to have the slash attack. Go for the slash attack. Oops, 0.5, negative 0.5. Alright, and we get our different attack. I'm going to put in 0, 2, 4, 6, and 1, 3, 5, and 7. Then this is an even bigger attack. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So here you can see that he's got no head, but it doesn't matter because it's our funky player. So this one here, I think I had drink. Yeah, let's go with drink. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops, I wasn't meant to go up there, but anyway. 0.5, 0.5, doesn't really matter which one's there. 0.5, negative 0.5, 0.5, negative 0.5, negative all of those, and I'm just going to go 0, 2, 4, 6, and then 1, 3, 5, 7. And we can see how that works. So this is going to be our healing buff. It's like as though he's drinking a potion. You can always use it for when you are drinking a potion. Doesn't really matter. Look at all these crazy things. Cool, don't worry about those. They all cleared, so that's alright. And then we got our drop dead, and there was no, it said there was no stunned, did it? Yeah, because there is a stunned animation, so let's go drop dead. We're not going to put anything in the death one. I don't think I have a, yeah, my death one was throwing the character way away, so in 2D it doesn't actually play a dead animation, it just deletes the sprite and then respawns it where it needs to respawn, so it's weird the way that works. But let's create a state from new blend tree. We're going to go here to have anything from condition is stunned true. I don't think we need to add anything on that. It's going to be, what do we have here? Which ones were these ones? Freeform Cartesian. I don't think we need to change that. I think I did them on my other ones, but 2D freeform Cartesian. Look X and look Y. Add motion field, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So, yep, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. Yeah. And then -1, -1 of that. -1, -1. No, I've put those in fucking random places. Alright, so 0, -1. And then Y is -1 and 0. There we go, that's our 4 points that we need normally. Cool. And 0.5, 0.5, 0, and then -0.5, -0.5, -0.5, -0.5, 0.5. What are you doing there? There we go, cool. Alright, so now we want stunned. So I've actually got a stunned effect. So I'm going to go 2, 2, 4, and 6. And then we want to have 1, 3, 5, and 7. We want to play those out. So now he looks stunned. Oh, his shield's going through his body. He'd be pretty stunned if that was happening, but that's fine. Don't worry too much about that. That's good for the character, so that should be it for the player. I'm going to save the project again. Should be okay. Now, I need to make sure everyone is added to the network manager. They should, because I've just changed the characters. Sapling. Monsters, is that entity actually saved to it? It doesn't look like it is, does it? Oh, maybe. I'm just going to add it anyway. I don't think I need to, because it's just going to go with the thing, but I mean, sapling, giant, and baby sapling, they're spawning, whereas these are just set in stone in the game world. Alright, so let's give this a go now and see whether our player is functioning the way we want it to, or whether we're going to have issues. I'm pretty sure this is all we need to do. Well, we might need to make the canvas visible for starters. Stinking canvas. Server and play. Going to create a warrior. We're going to call him Testy, the mightiest warrior. And why is it spawning him up there? Alright, mate. Alright. And for some reason, Obviously the anim speeds need to be worked on. Oh, of course. So I've got a couple of problems here. I haven't baked the nav mesh, but you can see our character is moving in the way it needs to be. If I go 2, I'm playing part of the animation. That's nice. Alright, cool. So a couple of things that we need to fix. Got a few things we need to fix. Go to our blended state again. So our idle is fine. We can leave that running. The movement we need to make faster. So I'm going to put 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. He's going to be running faster. Let's play that now. Server and play. Click on him start. Can't get to him because he's on another bloody part of the map. So let's deal with that by moving him around. Let's move him closer to where we started. Play. Server and play. Why is he spawning up there? Let me go to our scene and find out why. Why? Where is our spawn? Oh, it's down here, isn't it? Network manager. F. Oh, because they all moved off. Alright, yep, cool. Alright, fair enough. Let's move these down a bit here, I guess. Yep, so they're where they need to be. Cool. Jump back into the game. Collect him anyway. Oh, I still can't get to him because he's beyond the bounds of where I need him. Oh boy. Alright. Just going to move that down to here. That's just because we moved the map around and we changed the size a little bit, so it's thrown it off to where we had it already lined up. Now, let's set up the basic nav mesh for this thing here. So how I do the nav mesh, I'm actually going to create, I won't create an empty there, I'm going to create an empty here. I'm going to call this worldwide. That's at the, it should be at the 0. Let's just zero that out. 0, cool. Now I'm going to create an empty here, render of sort by depth, haven't been assigned in the inspector. Ooh. Where was that, I wonder? Sorting, smart render of sort by depth. One of the characters doesn't have it on it, so let's deal with that before we go on. So let's check our warriors got it. Yep, color renderer, body renderer, that's fine. But here, oh, maybe in this one, was there a sort by depth on here somewhere? Yes, so that's why. So we're just going to remove that. That's cool. File save. And why did our monster have that animation on him? Sprite renderer, idle down. We're just going to remove that completely. That should get rid of that. We're going to save the project and save that. So as we're saying, work collider, so I'm just going to go edge grass. And we're going to add a collider. It's going to be an edge collider. I could also make it a polygon, but we're just going to go with edge collider. So I know how to do that. And where are we editing it from? So here's our little groovy dude. And I'm just going to zoom in so we got a little bit of lining up here, and we're just going to follow that around. Do we get it to where we want it to be? Oh, it's going to need to come out a bit more. What I'm doing is, because you can add points to this edge anywhere you want, so I'm leaving the further edge to trail out and then adjusting where I need it exactly to be. Like that. We're going to have to hide this canvas again so we can move around. Edge grass, edge collider. Yep, bring it out to here. That looks good. Just adjust that. Bring that in. Just that part. Slide that where we want it. That's fine. Might need to bring that in because of the way our collider sits, so I'm going to actually leave that in with a slight edge bit there. Same as to there. Move that aside. Down this way. Oh, and we'll bring that down. What I can do now is I can actually drag this along here, all the way, whoops, all the way out there. Bring this, oh god, not what I meant to do, but that's fine, just bring it down there, we'll fix it up later. Make sure that that aligns, and there as well. Drag it anywhere along that part, should be good to go. Bring this in a bit so we've got it not quite on the edge. As with this point, bring it up just slightly. And then bring the finish point back in here, same with the start point. Bring it in there, like that. So that's one of them. We need to set this to static. That should be good for that. Now we need to make a little collider around this little pond here. So let's do a new one. Try an empty edge grass inner, just so we know when we're making it what it's going to be. We're going to add another edge collider. Going to edit that collide. Going to put a point there and a point here. Okay, and we could have made this a polygon collider. Doesn't really matter. Just can't make it a box collider because it doesn't like to do the doubling up. Anyway, pop that there. Going to bring that back across here like this, and bring this out here. Bring this up just a little bit so we've got a little bit more on that side than we do on this bottom side. Like this. And maybe in it a little bit like that. Cool. Set that one to static as well. And now we'll go to navigation 2D. We're going to set it from wireframe to full. We're going to clear it and we're going to bake it. See what we get. There we go. So now we can walk in the water. We just can't get to the water because of it. And the skull's going to trip us over. So, because that needs to, the safe zone needs to be a trigger and not static. Yeah, let's try it with static, see whether the trigger changes it. Yep, excellent, cool. Alright, so it's static, and it's doing that. Now we can do the dungeon again, we'll do that afterwards as well. I'll make the dungeon later. I don't even know if I'll have time to finish the dungeon today, but I'll follow it up in a follow-up. It's pretty much the same as it works normally anyway. Alright, so now we've got that, let's actually test our game too to make sure that all the collision stuff's working fine. Oh, of course we've got to turn our canvas back on. I'm just going to file, save the project as well. Should have saved it after I've turned on the canvas, but it doesn't matter. Play our mate again. Testy needs to move his way back somewhere. Yeah, we might need to increase the speed that our dude moves at, but for now he can at least go and target his enemy and he can get the right look for it. So I want to see what happens when I get stunned. Never mind, because I'm going to die instead. Stun me. Stun me. Stun me. Alright, so let's change a couple of little things here. So we need to go file, save that. I need to find my warrior. Why did I have to name everything warrior? Speed 4, but it's actually handled somewhere else. Speed here we go. So we need this base value. Let's make that actually let's make it 5. See if 5 is too much. 5 and 5, and our HP health max 500. 100. Let's make it like that. And let's see whether I can get stunned and whether it plays that animation, because that's one of the other things I want to test because I haven't done it yet. So let's start that. Of course, you can kill us, and then when we respawn, we've got plenty of health to go back with. Okay, yep, so it's playing it super quick and not. So we'll have to change the values for. Yeah, see, it's trying to run something else. I'll figure that one out at another time. That'll something at least our running speed, not necessarily matching our footsteps, but it works as far as a 2D game goes. I'm gonna have to change where the name position is. So let's do that while we're at it. We've still got him. Variable source animation of sub animation hasn't been assigned. Cool. I don't give a crap. Name and guild. Stunned. Let's pop that up to just above his head. That's saved, and let's just play that. Make sure that sits nicely. And we want to find out why our dude is popping out to the side. F to pay respect. For some reason it's sitting out that way. Did we move the map again or something? Is that what happened? There we go. File save. Server play. Yep, good enough. Click on him. Start. And yeah, names look like it's fine. Nameplate's alright. Can run around everywhere we go. What happens when we walk up to the water? We're stuck here, that's good. What about when we're up to the top? Yep, pretty fine edge work. Could probably bring it out a bit differently. Let's come up here. Guardian wants to sit up here, mate. What do you do? Righto. Oh, because it obviously wasn't on the spot. I wonder whether that popped up in console. Yeah, probably. Alright, so find the dungeon. F dungeon entry. It's a circle glider, it's a trigger, portal, dungeon exit, dungeon entry. Yep, so we want to move that over to here. Dungeon exit. Is the dungeon exit over this way, and dungeon entry. That's right. What's this then, mate? Dungeon entry. Alright. Interesting. And then of course, because yeah, we don't have a thing over here. You know what? Let's do it over here. Let's go create empty edge collider 2D, and this will be the outer section. So I'm just going to call this dungeon outer. Why did I have to make so many lines and loops and stuff in it? Like, why? Why have I done this? This is why a box would have been so much easier. Because you can click anywhere along this this line to create a new point along it, which is handy, but you know, should be fine ways. So I wanted to go up to there, so I'm going to click along here. This can go all the way back down. not going to worry so much about the inner parts just yet. I'll do that when I'm doing some more finishing touches on it. Actually, no, we won't have to worry about the inner parts. In fact, technically, I'm not even going to have to worry about this collider yet, but I'll do it anyway, just for now, so we can get a thing on it. And when I build the walls later, because what's going to happen is the walls that we make will be entities and they'll have their own collider attached. So yeah, we don't really need to do this outer edge, because the outer edge of this will actually have the walls on it, which will form their own collider, so I'll be able to get rid of this one when we do it. And it does mean that I don't have to do the wall or the inside parts by hand. I mean, I will, because I'll have to paint the walls themselves, but they'll have their own colliders, so I don't have to do this little edge technique to get that going, which is good. But let's just finish this up for now so that we can warp to and from the dungeon. And put that one there, that'll do. Cool. Set it to static. Now, where are you? Dungeon entry is just a term. Dungeon exit is, yeah, it wants to go back to the respawn. And then dungeon entry, destination, dungeon entry. Oh, okay, destination is this point. Alright, cool, so that's, alright. Now I get what they're trying to do. Dungeon entry here, and then our dungeon exits up here, so let's make that little collider there. So let's bake wireframe, no, I want full. So yeah, we've got a whole setup there, and we've got a whole setup there. Alright, excellent. So now let's try and do it. We'll say, play our game, server and play, testy, start. Ooh, well, he started there now, so that's good. We can run around our little area, going to run all the way inside there, but we can't get on the outside wall, can we? No, excellent. Alright, so let's run to the dungeon exit and see if that takes us back to the main map. It does. Excellent work. But I want it to be able to pop us back out here, so what I'll have to do is create a copy of dungeon entry, and we're going to call that dungeon exit. Dungeon exit, and we're going to place that here so that you pop out on this side. And what I want to do with our little world collides, I'm going to have an empty, and I'm going to call this dungeon stare. Dungeon stare. Dungeon stare at me, sir. Sorry, really fucking, you know, I'm out of it now. Alright, so we're going to place that here, and we're going to put the other one on the other side, here. Oh, yep, there. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a point there, we're going to create a point here, going to create a point here. I'm going to move that back over this way, which will be like, what? How is that even passable? He's a madman, I tell you. A madman. Now we've got that there, we're going to set that to static. And when we bake our mesh, pop, let's set it to full so we can see. Oh, Jesus, let's turn that radius down a little bit. 24, bake. Alright, and we'll see how we go with that. So I may even have to make that thinner, actually. Let's just make the edge collider thinner. So let's not run it in there, because, whoops, Control Z. Push him in there. We don't need it to be super thick, it just needs to be aligned so that we can't run into that. So let's bake that again. Alright, that looks like it'll be good enough. So, now that we've got that, let's just hit play again, see where our dude spawns. Server and play. Yep, testy, start. He's back in the dungeon, gonna exit. And I haven't set it up to go to the dungeon exit point, that's fine. Guardian's going to stand in there, and now I can walk into that collider by accident. Alright, so we need to fix up the dungeon entry collider. So let's go to our inspector, Dungeon entry. That's why, because it's pretty huge. Yeah, we'll just edit that. Make it a bit smaller so we're not triggering it by accident when we go up to that part. Ideally I want to make it a polygon one so I can match it up to that, but for these purposes let's just, actually can we rotate it like this? Ooh, we can too. There you go. Yeah, leave it there like that. Now dungeon exit needs to take us to our dungeon exit point like that. What's going on in the console? Yep, some animation. I don't know where that's coming from. It's coming from something to do with the warrior and the way those other points work, but I don't think it matters. Alright, dungeon boy, exit. Takes me back here. Cool. And now when I move, we're going to constantly trigger it because of where our collider sits versus where it is in that thing there. So again, we can just small this up a bit. Make it really only sit there. Save, play. You don't really need to be doing this level of test and adjust. I'm just doing it because I'm being really prissy about it, finicky. So we run in there, that's fine. When we exit, we're okay. When we come here, we're not touching it until we're good. We're not triggering it. So that's now in a good position. So we can start here. It's going to drop us to here. Alright, awesome. And this, we can't walk into this. Cool. Ooh, but he's standing in front of us because he's on a different layer than we are, but that's alright. So one thing we'll try, let's run in front of him. Yep, cool. Let's run behind him. Yep, cool. Because it's taking the pivots from the feet of the character. Whoa. Yay, so that all works. Oh, I'm nearly dead. Alright, cool. So now we've got that. That's our basic players and monsters are all working. I'm going to hide this again. Now let's have a look at building our wall pieces. So this is where things get a little bit tricky because we need them to act like entities where our player can go in front of them and behind. And the reason I wasn't doing it on Tiled, even though Tiled does have a way to import walls as the entity layer, it still doesn't sort them out correctly. I've tried it a few ways to try and figure it out, but it hasn't properly worked. So what we need is we actually need a prefab with its own collider and its own little pivot point in order to bring that in. So just got to take a quick drink there. Now what we need to do is, well, first off, we're going to create a 2D object. It's going to be an isometric tile map. So you can click on that and it brings it up. The sizing should be fine at 111 for now. We don't have to worry too much about that. But instead of bringing in a tile map on a tile palette, whatever, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We may have to make a tile palette, but without anything in it. What we need to do is actually bring in the prefabs for the walls itself. And I've already made them for another project, but I'll make them from scratch here so that we can get them through. I need that character art to be hidden, and I need to go to we've got ISO ruins. This might be easier to bring in actually. So 128 by 128. If I bring that into here, you can see it's going to be very small. So we'll try 2. How does that look? Not the greatest. Go 3. That starts looking more like the size wall that we're going to need. Yep, cool. Alright, so we'll go 3. We'll move it up to the edge here, or even on the inner edge. Doesn't really matter because it's going to sit in a specific way when it's on the tile. We need to set it to entities layer, and then we need to add a component to it. We need the sort by depth, and we need to bring our sprite render into it. And it's not going to be terrain or anything, it's just going to be on the default layer for that. But you can see now when we move it here, the pivot, we need to set the pivot for it to pivot. Now it should be figuring itself out via where it sits. It's on entities layer. What's our foe here on? Have I actually set them up correctly in the body render entities? Yeah, they're all in entities, but it's just not doing it for me. Don't need to worry about that. Tagged as, don't need to worry about that. Why is that not sorting the depth now as it comes through? Alright, let's try putting it there, and let's bring in our player and see what happens when we do that. Oh, I've got to turn the canvas on. Hey, don't hurt me. No more. Yeah, well, that's interesting. It is on the entities layer, and it is sorted by thingo, but it's not coming up. Isometric entities, pivot, symbol. What's the sprite set to? Center, single, sprite 2D. Yep, tight. Pivot. So we'll go to sprite editor. Our pivot needs to be down here. Yeah, roughly where that goes. Let's go apply. Let's close that. Now let's try moving it around, see whether that affects how it stands. Now suddenly he's in front of it still. Alright, well that's weird. Doesn't matter, because we're not going to use that one. Let's just go to my regular walls that I use, which are the not Tileset cave dungeon walls here. So these ones here, let's go to our sprite editor. So you can see we've got a list here of these walls, and these are 128 by 64. So let's go to, we need to slice them ourselves. Let's go custom outline, custom physics shape, no sprite editor, slice trim. Why can't we seem to deal with that as objects? Oh, because it's multiple. That's what we need to do. Yep, apply that. Cool. Now we need to slice it. Automatic if we set the pivot to custom, and let me just check what it is in my other thing to save us some time here. So Redux sprite editor. Pivot is 0.5 and 0.2. Whoops. There we go. So that's from my other one, so that's alright. 0.5 and 0.2, and we have it sliced by automatic pivot custom. 0.5, 0.2, slice. Yep, so that's sort of roughly where we need it to be in each of those shots, which is good. I'm going to apply that now. And we're just going to have the basic walls. I'm not going to bother putting in every single wall that I've got. But we need to drag this one in. I'm going to pop it there. We're going to make it, if I bring up my other one, prefab 221. So 2 to that. Needs to go to entities. It's going to be static. It's going to have pivot for the sort point. Going to add a component. We're going to add sort by depth. We're going to put in the sprite renderer for it, and we're going to add in a polygon collider. Which actually, I wonder if I can do this. No, I can't. Okay. Polygon collider 2D. And can I paste values? No. Okay. Bummer. So I'll have to do the thing manually. I'm going to go here to points instead of 9. We're just going to have 4 because we only really need a square out of it. And then we're going to edit the collider itself. So we're going to bring it down to roughly where it needs to be if we were to envision where the base of this wall actually sits. So we can sit it across here, bring it down like that, so we have roughly the shape that we want. Should technically be a square, and all the sides are, should be equal. So just a regular square, but we've kind of got a rectangular shape to it because it's not quite a square, is it? Alright, and we don't have anything else on here, do we? And layer default, static, yep. So what I'm going to call this is, it's a south facing wall, so I'm just going to go wall underscore S. And now I'm going to make this into a prefab. So let's go create a new folder. I'm going to call it wall prefabs. I'm going to drag it into my wall prefabs folder. Cool. and then I'm going to go create another folder, and I'm going to call this brushes. So this will make sense in a moment. So we got wall S. Let's bring in the next wall. Just like that, dungeon walls, and we go this one here. This is the other facing one. Got to do the same one to this. Mark it as static 2, 2. Default is going to be entities and pivot, and you can see the pivot's going to be in that little section there, so that's good. We're going to add a sort first, so sort by depth. Going to drag this sprite render into it, and then we're going to we'll copy this, go copy component, and then paste component as new, but you can see it's obviously not aligned correctly, but we're just going to change that up now. You know, where would it be? Roughly there. Maybe down a little bit, that looks about right. That should be good enough. Alright, cool. So that's our little points there, and then we're going to call this one wall, and that's facing westward, so we're just going to go wall west. And then we're going to make this into a prefab as well. We're just going to drag it down in here. Cool, so now we've got a south and a west wall. But now what we need to do is we need to make brushes. So I'm going to open this thing, and I'm going to click here, create. Actually, I'll do it in the last folder, and then I'll just drag it across. So this is actually using one of the features that we brought in with the 2D extension tools, and it's the ability to create a brush, so you can brush a prefab onto a tile map, and that's what we want to do for our walls. So we're still going to use the walls and place them as a tile map, so that we get the features of tile map, like drawing out lines and stuff like that, that will all connect to each other. But we're placing prefabs instead of just sprite, an Atlas sprite. So let's go here. We want a prefab brush. And all we got to do is just call it whatever we want to call it. Should rename that to wall S. And then I want to drag wall S to the prefabs list. And there you go, that's all I got to do. And now I need to make a new one. I can just even grab this and duplicate it. And rename it to wall west. Whoop, QW, just wall west. And then we'll change that to wall west. And now we've got our two brushes. I'm just going to drag them into my brushes folder just for, you know, the sake of doing it that way. I'm going to come here to the grid. I'm going to come to the tile map. And then I'm going to have to open up the palette, tile palette. And you can see it's in here now. I don't need to bring anything into this palette that already exists. All I need to do is change this section here, default brush, to the new brushes that we've created. So I'm going to go brush south, have the little paintbrush marked. And you can see now I can place them. Now they're not lining up correctly. Oh, hang on. What's going on with that one there? So they're actually bigger than our tile map is. So what is the size of the tile map? What have I got in my other project for the grid? Grid 221. Yeah, right. So 2, 2, and then 1, and then let's start placing it now. No, now we have this issue. Okay, cool. So we need to start to figure out how to get our wall sprites to actually match up with the size that we need. So they're obviously not coming out at the right size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the wall prefab. I'm going to close this window to get it out of the way. Open the prefab. We need to find this. Let's have a look at what we've got going on with this. Let's go to our sprite editor, and I'm going to compare. So 29 and 63, and if I come over to my previous project, I look for this same one. Yeah, 29, 63, 401, 111, normalize to. Oh, I know what I've done. So here I've got pixels per unit 100. I need to change that to 64 and go apply, and now that's changed it up to that larger size. Now when I come to our tile map, everything should work fine now. I need to open up the tile palette window. I can actually just bring that up here as its own little thing, so it doesn't matter. Change the default brush to south and paint on that brush, and there we go. Now we've got our walls. I've got corner pieces to the walls too. I'm just going to rush these through so that we've got a wall and that we check that everything is functioning as per the intended outcomes. Let's make another wall here. And let's go wall west. Why is that draw order playing funny mans there? Okay, so you've got to draw it in a specific way, otherwise it glitches out, and then that's even glitching out too. So we need to, what I've found, it's a bit weird. I think it's because it's the test stuff that I do get that little glitch every now and then, but I figured out a method to fix it, which is literally just after you've deleted it, you are painting stuff on there, but it's not appearing. So what you need to do is clear it and then click on the arrow and actually click on each thing to refresh what's in there, and then paint on it over the top. Anyway, we've got this here. Let's move this little foe that we've got here away so that he doesn't get in the way of what we're trying to do. Where's our other one? There was supposed to be a foe up here as well. So we'll put him over here so we see him when we first walk in. So now, if we've done everything correctly, if I go to our inspector, it's entities and it's from the pivot, simple. Now, hopefully, we should be able to go behind and in front of the wall. Get away from me, man. Just trying to hang out, you know. Yep, so that's working as it should. Now, you can see these parts where, like, I get sort of stuck halfway through the wall, and you can see because of the way the pivot works, or like, you know, my shadow appears from under it, that sort of thing. That will actually disappear once you assign the colliders to the nav mesh, which we'll do now because it's literally just bake the nav mesh. You should be fine. They are set to static, well, south and that. Oh god, it's decided to give itself a little bit of a hassle. Let's just bake. And if we go full, oh, okay, so we have to move our polygon colliders for the thing properly. All right, so let's find our prefabs. Let's open them up, and yeah, so the collider's obviously small now that we've changed the size value of it, so we need to adjust for that and bring it down again. Apparently I've got to do each one as its own individual thing, no worries. So that's wall W, wall S. That's saved, so now, and everything's actually refreshed itself too, so we're just going to bake that again. And now you see we've got solid lines, save for the corner pieces here, but that's alright, that's just because we don't have a corner piece. When you do put a corner piece in there, it will give you a full line around the outside, but we'll test it as it is there. Oops, just pinched myself. Cool, we've got our dude, we're running along, we're getting out of there before the enemies spawn in on us. We could run through here, but we shouldn't be able to. But now you can see I'm running into the wall. A couple of little sort of, you know, glitchy bits there where I get caught on the edge of the thing. But otherwise we are behind and in front. My sword pokes out a little bit there. So we still get that little issue. Might have to adjust our colliding space again if we go... Oh, we had it on that before, so I'll just put it back to 40. Bake. Done. Play. And of course the sword order's fixed itself there, keeps glitching out on us. So now we got less of that glitching through because we can't actually move the character to a point where it will glitch through, but we can make it walk in a position that looks like it fits the scene. So that's how we do that. So that's pretty much it for what you need to do to turn it into isometric. Everything from now is just, you know, more of the same and adding in some of the extra bits and pieces, like as in extra visual pieces to that. But everything else, it runs the same as you would with any other 2D thing. Oh, so one of the things that I haven't gone into here is the animation stuff. for equipping different items. So you can see here I've already got a sword and shield equipped. That's not because I haven't even got a shield in this section here for whatever reason. I've only got a sword. My actual character sprite has that sword and shield built in. I've done it that way specifically because I don't want to have to handle the whole equipping a different looking shield and having it play in front of the character and then on the side and then behind. I can do that. It's just a lot more working with more animations. So, things like the character, or basically each weapon and each item, like each weapon or each shield, has to have cut out sections of it because you're going to be overlaying it over the top of what's there. So I need to figure out a way in my program that I use to make these sprites to actually blank out that section and make it completely invisible. Or like the body shape of the human in that animation invisible, while the rest of the stuff visible. As it's a lot of screwing around that I haven't figured out yet. But when I do, I can probably post up a thing on how to do it properly. You can see here we can click on now Alchemist, teleport to the field. I know it's put me out here with these crazy guys. But yeah, everything works as is. We haven't. What's doing that? Why is it playing that animation? Oh, because it hasn't done the full thing. So we go to our animator, normal attack, we don't want that, we want our player. Drop this back on. Prefabs players, going to go to the warrior. There we go, cool. So this is our slash blend tree. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Do that, and then our normal attack should also be in the 2s. Just because it's slower than what we want. Let's play that, see if that gives us a little bit better. It's not even giving us the time to play the full thing. But if we select 1, does it give us the time to play it? Now our dude's dead. Let's take his gold. Cool. So it's sort of cutting off because the actual skill itself is cutting off before we're able to play the full animation. So we can adjust that by finding our actual skill effects. Don't need entities, not effects. We just need resources. Here it is. Skills. Oh, they've separated into separate folders. That's nice. Slash. And cast time is 0.5, so let's just change that to, let's just change that to 1. And let's see whether that lets us play the entire animation that we need. Start. Oh, and there's a little bit of lag over the end of it. So let's change that now then to 7.5. Just play around with that value. Keep getting stunned. Oh, I'm about to die. Very good. But we can see now that, it is playing through the full thing, and then once it's finished, it's back again and ready to go again. But obviously there's like a cooldown on it, so I can't basically just spam it, but we can change it to like a left key or something. So there you go. That's all working fine. Plays at a decent enough speed to make it look alright. The running is alright. We could probably speed it up too, so that the foot, it doesn't look like I'm sort of skiing. I'm actually moving correctly. We might be able to adjust that a little bit. Let's see whether we can play with that before I cut the stream. Give our run, or maybe 2.25, and just paste that everywhere. Let's play. Yep, that looks a little bit better. Still slightly skiing, but I think it works perfectly fine for a 2D game. And of course here I could put some more stuff. So I might do that like another time. I'll just I'll build a few more objects. Oh, actually no, let's play around with trees. I want to put in a tree there and see how we get that going. So let me have a look. Pretty much the same thing that we're doing, not tile map, tube map. Isometric parts, or was the tree in this section here? Where do we have trees? I think it's in isometric parts. No, that's for that. Isometric tiles, chest, gate, tower, ruins? Where did I save the trees to? I swear there was some trees around. They're walls. I mustn't have put them in the folder. So let me just have a look if I can find out where those trees went to. That's grassland tiles, tree. What was it? Bush menu. Going to search my downloads for where I got them. Symmetric parts, ruins. Symmetric plant pack. Did I? Where did I do that? Oh, was it isometric tiles? Weed 06, isometric tiles. Did I have weed? Nope. So I didn't actually extract them to the folder that I needed, so that's alright. Let's go to our assets. Tile map, no, assets. Oh, that's the wrong one. Show an explorer. So I'm just doing this off screen at the moment, but we got them in, so let's bring in those. Shouldn't take us too long. And let's see how these trees come out. Yep, don't worry about that one. We got weeds. Oops, I'm not trying to pop it in there. We can actually do this on our tile map as well, so we can create, that's our grid, so we'll rename this one to walls. And this one here, we need to create another object isometric tile map. Yep, we'll call this one trees. And we don't have to worry about the colliders because that's a prefab too, but we're going to make the trees also a prefab, and we can change it to, yeah, that's going to be fun actually. So let's pop that in. You can barely see it over the top of the grass, but it does. Let's go to 2. Can we do like an outline or extra shading on it or something, because it doesn't really stand out over the green, does it? Right, well, we'll try something else instead. We've got a tropical plant. There you go, that's a little bit more noticeable too. It'll be the pivot for that one. So where is our pivot? That's the center. We don't want the center to be the pivot. We want the center to be, set up sprite renderer. The center's about there. Apply. And we want it to be 64. Apply. Oh, makes it a bit larger, doesn't it? That's fine. We might make it just, one size again, because it's just supposed to be a small shrub, and we want it to be on entities. It is static, but we're not using it as a collider, so it shouldn't matter, and we're just going to have to put in sort by depth like that, and we're going to call that tropical 5. So let's make the same as the wall prefabs. Let's actually change and make a new folder called trees, bushes, tropical 5, and that should be fine for that. And we'll delete that one. Actually, we shouldn't have. We should put it on there so I can copy the different stuff that I need. Let's go back to our isometric tiles. Find another one. We've got a big tree. Not really what I'm after. It's like a nice palm, pine. Let's go pine full. It's a snow one, we don't need that. Pine none. Okay, cool. So it's how snow covered it is. Pine none 1. We're going to pine none 1, we need to change that to 64. Apply, sprite editor, and we don't want that to be there, we need that to be custom, and change that to say, oh, so this is a tricky one because you got these parts that come out the front, so we're always going to have to be in front of it like that. We can't have it separated from the stem and the branches, or the trunk and the branches, should I say. We'll change that to 2. Oh, I reckon that'll be fine. Yeah, I think we'll get away with that. Cool. So set that to entities. Do we want a collider on it? Yep, let's put a little collider. So we'll go a circle collider, 2D. Obviously way bigger than we need it to be, and you really need it to be a tiny little dot. And bring that down to where our pivot actually is, sitting in there. Even smaller, I think. So, yep, about that. We really don't need it to be too much of an issue, but just so you can't run straight through it. And we'll do that, and that is a pine, and what do we call the other one? It was just tropical 5, wasn't it? So that's fine. Yep, pine, none, and tropical 5. Alright, so we're going to delete that, and we're going to delete that, and we're going to do the same thing with the brushes. I'm not going to put it in its own folder, I'm just going to put brush, because I'm only going to make one brush, and it needs to be a prefab brush size, and we're actually going to drag both of these onto, we can't, alright, do it one at a time. So now what's going to happen is it's actually going to pick between those two in a random sense. So if we go to our trees now, and we set this to, what was our walls? The scale needs to be 1 to 1. Why are you tripping? Yeah, cool. And then of course we bring up our 2D tile palette. It was already there, why did I bother doing that? Cool. Prefab brush, that's the one with our trees in it. I didn't name it, that's fine. Now when we click here, it's only going to pick those, so it's not, oh it is doing it random. So there you go. Because there's only 2, it was like a 50-50 chance, and for some reason it sort of did it like that. That's a lot for that area. So what's the Perlin scale? Can we change? What happens when we do that? Not really what we want, but that's okay. Let's go here, let's bake our nav mesh and see what it makes of that. If we go full, so yeah, we can actually walk between them, which is cool. Let's press play and see how that looks when our character tries to run through our forest. Start. What? What's happening there? Why is he not going? Why is it not occurring the way it needs to occur? Have I missed something somewhere? Walls, sorting layer, default. No, it should be entities and entities. Did I not have the trees on entities? No, I did. Sprite sort point needs to be pivot. That needs to be on the actual prefab. Let's open that up. Entities and pivot, because it's got a custom pivot. That's fine. And tropical, what did you have? You had entities and pivot, so you should be fine. But for some reason it didn't want to treat them as though they were entities. So why is it doing it for these? Set them to cancel, not that. They're set to static. The walls are also set to static, so that should be correct. Tropical shouldn't be, so that's fine. There we go, I started. So I'm just constantly in front of those, but not in front of the tropical one. So I can go behind tropical, but I can't go behind the tree. Why is that? Why doth that occur? Interesting. Alright, well what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because that looks totally horrible, let's delete that if I can. Thanks. Delete the whole thing. And we got one pine tree. So you, why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Simple entities, pivot, order and layout, because it doesn't have a sort. Sort in layer. Let's just move up. Alright, so obviously I'm blind because I should have been able to see that, but I didn't, so good for me. Let's go 3, 3. And then we can just paint some more of those around. Default brush, prefab. Here we go. And now it's giving us an assortment of the different things to play, which is cool. Our map's starting to look a little bit more fun. Now you can see I'm in front of the thing, but it's also increased the collider space. No, it hasn't increased the collider space, I just haven't rebacked the nav mesh. Bake. Done. Play. The skull behind there is going to make that weird. In fact, the skull's sitting in front of it because it's got that fancy bit. Alright, so trees now work the way we want them to, so do the shrubs. Everything is looking super edgy. That's awesome. Let's go up to our dungeon. We still can't get in, that's fine. And we come in here, here's our foe. Gonna hit 1 and let's go battle him. Destroy him. That's interesting, it's popping us directly down to attack him rather than off to the side. Anyway, we'll come back again another time because I'm going to have to go soon to finish off the walls in there. But effectively the walls for the cave will work the same way as the walls for here did. We'll put in corner pieces, I'll fix that up, and then I'll do the caves as well. And then I'll come back again and do static objects. So they're effectively the same as the forest anyway, so I can have statues, things like that, put in place and sorted out by that. So there we go. Alright, we got there in the end. It took us a couple of hours to work through some of the bugs. If you can sit through it, then good on you. Hopefully it teaches you a little bit about how to make a super... I'm actually really impressed with how this looks. I really like these graphics too. So I'm spilling because they're open source ones. I'll have to get an artist to do some personalised ones if I'm going to make a game out of it. But yeah, I reckon it looks pretty groovy. And from everything from here on, other than the graphical side, is literally just regular UMO, MMORPG stuff. So you've got your quests that you can put through, your kill monsters, go here, discover this, and then you've got your range of add-ons that work. We can put in speech bubbles. I might do that in another episode where I follow up from this one here. We can have groovy speech bubbles with like a nice font and everything in it. They don't necessarily have to be comic speech bubbles. They can just be like a little adventure text that comes out across here with like a nice little banner that fills out or something to fit the theme anyway. Or even no background thing to it at all, just the thing. So it's more like Ultima Online had, where it was the text with the outline around it. I think that would look pretty cool. Thanks for watching. You don't need to subscribe to any of my channel stuff, but certainly hit a like if you actually liked this and got something out of it. Hit the comments up if you have any questions about some of the stuff I might have gone over. If you're having trouble with it or whatever, just let me know and I can hopefully get some time to help you out with it. Hopefully it was straightforward enough that you saw what was going on. If I went through something too quickly, just rewind and watch it again till you get it. If not, yeah, let me know and I can hopefully explain it a bit better to you. Thanks for watching, guys. I will catch you in another episode.